Today we will be learning one mitzvah. Actually, we're going to be learning this mitzvah for the next 3-4 days. The reason why for the past number of days we were rushing through and squeezing in more than 10 mitzvahs a day, and now we're only going to be learning one mitzvah for the next few days, is because the Sefer HaMitzvot, which we're learning, are part of a campaign initiated by the Lubavitcher Rebbe to unite all Jewish people together through the study of Torah and the mitzvot, the way they are listed by the Rambam. But there's more than one track for this campaign. The track which we're part of is the track to study from the Rambam's book of Sefer HaMitzvot, where he pretty much goes through the list of the mitzvot, a short definition, and that's it. But there is another track where they study from the Rambam's book of Mishnah Torah, where he goes through the mitzvot in much greater detail with all their laws, including any fences which were added on by the rabbis, and they study 3 chapters per day. So, for example, the mitzvot which we were just learning, they are found in Mishnah Torah in Hilchot Avodah Zarah v'Chukot HaGoyim, the laws of idolatry and the ways of the nations of the world. So there we studied 51 mitzvot in 12 chapters. 12 chapters, that meant it was covered in 4 days. So in order that we should be learning the same thing that they were learning, we had to cover 51 mitzvot in 4 days as well. But the next mitzvah which we're going to be learning, it's one mitzvah covered in Mishnah Torah in 10 chapters, which means that we are going to be learning this one mitzvah throughout 3-4 days. So we're going to wait till those that are learning the 3 chapter track are up to us before we move on. But obviously, since the idea is that we should unite through Torah study, we're not just going to wait and do nothing after we've learned the mitzvah today, but we're going to continue to discuss it in greater detail over the next few days. So moving on, today's mitzvah is the mitzvah if someone has committed a sin, then there is a mitzvah to confess. As the verse says in Bamidbar, in Numbers, Ish or Isha ki ya'asu mikol chatot ha'adam, a man and woman that have committed any sin, then vehitvadu et chatatam asher chatu, they should confess the sin for the sin which they have sinned. And the Rambam tells us that the mitzvah is not just to have remorse in one's heart, but to actually verbalize and utter the sin which one did and elaborate upon it. And the mitzvah is to confess for any type of sin, whether it was a sin which in the times of this temple they would bring a sacrifice for or not, whether it's a sin over transgressing a negative commandment, or if it's a sin over not doing a positive commandment which someone should have done. And as mentioned, we will discuss the details of this mitzvah over the next few days.